Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 24th October 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles. As it is Sunday's newspaper, important articles largely related to our examination on FAQ page, science and technology page, and also some important articles on profiles page. Okay, and other developments from IR section. Yes, so mains related developments on profiles page. It discusses the geography and ecology of Western Ghats and the threats that are there, especially in Kerala. Recently, floods and landslides we have witnessed in Kerala. So the context is that one. So we have to understand the ecology and geography of Western Ghats and how they are vulnerable for various environmental disasters. Then Himachal's women farmers expand their horizons without hurting nature. So the article is talking about nature farming or the sustainable eco-friendly practices of farming. Specifically, it mentions about zero budget natural farming. Zero budget natural farming. Okay, so we will try to know what is this for prelims examination also. It can be asked in the mains examination also. Okay, so eco-friendly practices, UPSC is asking such kind of questions in prelims examination frequently. In last 3 years we have seen such kind of questions. Then what is conscious possession of drugs? On FAQ page it talks about the context, Aryan Khan drug case that is going on, the investigation is going on. So recently the bail was denied by one special court to Aryan Khan, and it was talking about this principle of conscious possession. So what Supreme Court has interpreted this provision of conscious possession, that can be asked in the prelims examination. Okay, then Russia China hold first joint patrol in Western Pacific Ocean. So this is also important, especially the article mentions about Tsugaru Strait, through which the Russian vessels pass through. This is the part of international waters, but this separates the islands of Japan. We will try to find out where it is located, which two ocean bodies it connects. That is important from geography mapping perspective. Tsugaru Strait. Then India made spray linked to rare illness in US. So what is this particular illness, melanosis? The article talks about and how it has gone into the US from the sources are found in India. What is this particular product? Okay, and finally practice prelims MCQs on this current affairs. Restless mountains shattered lives. Okay, the context here is again the floods and landslides that happened in Kerala in previous weeks. Okay, so from that aspect we have to understand first of all geography of Western Ghats, then ecology and biodiversity aspects, and what is going on there for the biodiversity conservation, and then we can talk about the concerns. What are the concerns? Yes, first of all about Western Ghats geography. Now we know that Western Ghats are flanking the western border of peninsular India and they act as a water divide for peninsular rivers. Now we know that the western slope of Western Ghats is steep slopes as compared to eastern slopes. We know that how they have been very important in terms of having more rainfall along the western coast or western slopes of these Western Ghats, orographic rainfall, right? So that's why the western slopes of Western Ghats receive more rainfall. So we are witnessing such kind of, let's say, environmental disasters like landslides and flooding situation during the monsoon period. Okay, now after understanding the geography aspect, we should also understand the significance for ecology and biodiversity. So here we can mention that Western Ghats is one of the biodiversity hotspot, one of the 4 biodiversity hotspots in India. What are biodiversity hotspots? Biodiversity hotspots are the area where it is, the species endemism is at very high level, and the degradation to the natural habitat is also at high level. So it requires a very large level of conservation measures for that area. Okay, so that they are called as biodiversity hotspots. There are 4 biodiversity hotspots in India, and one of them is Western Ghats. Other three are Himalayas. First one includes both Western and Eastern Himalayas. Then Indo-Burma region. Of this region, the northeastern hills, they are part of this Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. And the 4th one is Sunda land. So Sunda land, so we know that Indonesia, that particular region is there, and Nicobar group of islands in India, they are part of this Sunda land. Okay, in this manner, the 4 biodiversity hotspot, and Western Ghats is one of them. The other aspect you can talk about is regarding biodiversity and the recognition of that. It is in 2012, 39 sites of Western Ghats, they were recognized under UNESCO World Heritage Site. Okay, remember this, natural site, UNESCO World Heritage Site, it was recognized. Fine. So in this manner we should understand the significance, and many of the species are endemic to Western Ghats in India. Okay. Now we can go back to the Madhav Gadgil committee. 2010 UPA government had constituted this expert panel, and Madhav Gadgil had given very stringent measures to protect the biodiversity of or ecology of Western Ghats. He had said that all area of Western Ghats should be declared as eco-sensitive zones, and that is divided into eco-sensitive zone 1, 2 and 3. Accordingly, the activities, economic activities should be allowed. He had said that or recommended that ESZ or ecologically sensitive zone 1, that in that zone there should not be any large dams or resulting into huge reservoirs, so it should not be allowed. Mining activities should not be allowed, polluting activities should not be allowed, and we can say that the reasonable level of construction activities and agriculture activities are allowed. So to some extent the recommendations were very stringent in the Madhav Gadgil committee, and all states, so all 6 states we can say, it runs through 6 states from north to south. It is having around 1500 kilometer length, Western Ghats. So all 6 states actually we can say opposed the recommendation or implementation of recommendations of this Madhav Gadgil committee report. So especially at the forefront was Kerala, which is having around 40% of Western Ghats located in its state. Very important. Okay, so it actually protested against implementation of this. Along with that, you should remember K. Kasturi Ranjan committee was let's say formed to study the Gadgil report after these protests. Okay, and Kasturi Ranjan committee had only said that 37 to 38% of total Western Ghats needs to be protected. So significant area of Western Ghats was left out of eco-sensitive zones. Still, the Kasturi Ranjan committee report and recommendations are also not implemented because of resistance by these southern states like Kerala. Okay, so why Kerala is vulnerable? Just now we have said that around 40% of Western Ghats length is lying in Kerala. Second thing we should understand, the human interference has resulted into slope modification through various activities, be it let's say agriculture practices, faulty agriculture practices, unscientific agriculture or land use, unscientific land use pattern. Okay, so yes, plantations, these faulty agriculture practices, infrastructure, road construction along these slopes, this has resulted into increasing vulnerability of these ecologically fragile Western Ghats in Kerala. So in this manner we should understand why Kerala is vulnerable especially. So this has been found by geological surveys of India. It has conducted various studies, and these are the reasons for increasing that vulnerability. Okay, and that's why we are witnessing such events. You should remember 2018 Kerala floods. This is one of the most severe weather event in the world, right? So and then thereafter every year we are witnessing the landslides on very large scale. In terms of vulnerability, if we are talking about in 2018-19, 1 year there were around 2000 landslide event in Kerala itself, and among these half were in Idukki district, one district itself. So this is the situation we are having, and that's why we are saying Kerala is more vulnerable. We know that yes, southwest monsoon along with retreating monsoon, we have seen at present it is retreating, still there is more rainfall. Along with that there is increasing unpredictability of rainfall, and there are variations of rainfall patterns in the country, whole country, and that's why the Kerala is not exception for that. Okay, so because of that, in recent times its vulnerability has increased. In this manner, we are expecting specific question on Kerala also. Remember the names of committees and their recommendations. Okay, yes. Now moving on. Himachal's women farmers expand their horizons without hurting nature. Now this is important. No, without hurting nature, that means it is practicing eco-friendly farming processes or practices. What is that? Natural farming, or it is being named as Subhash Palkar natural farming, SPNF, or it is also called as zero budget natural farming. Okay, we'll understand what is this zero based budget farming, but you should give this as an example, case study in your essay, GS3 paper, we can say environment section. Those who are having geography optional subject, they can also mention this whenever it is related to eco-friendly practices. Okay, so basically we have seen that how chemical use of chemicals, be it fertilizers or pesticides, herbicides, it is resulting into pollution. Okay, and it is harming the soil also. So because of that, now we need to shift towards more eco-friendly practices of agriculture and farming. This is one of them. Also, women being the part of, let's say, this natural farming, so it is leading to women empowerment also and overall social welfare. So you can give this example. Now specifically for prelims examination, zero budget natural farming, it was chemical free. It is chemical free agriculture practices, and it was first given by Subhash Palkar, who developed this in mid 1990s against, we can say, the green revolution package, technology package, right? This relies completely on agroecology. It relies on agroecology. Also, it aims to bring down the cost of production to nearly zero. This is what it is talking, zero budget natural farming. Okay, so input cost, it wants to bring down the production, or sorry, the cost of production to nearly zero. Yes, four main components of this type of natural farming. Here we have mentioned Jivamruta, Bijamruta, Achadana, Vapasa. Let us understand the meaning here. They are using the natural ingredients as a fertilizer. See here, the Jivamruta, it is a mixture of fresh cow dung, organic manure you can say, and aged cow urine, then both from India's indigenous cow breed, then jaggery, pulse flour, water and soil to be applied on the farmland. This is before sowing. Okay, then Bijamruta, it is concoction of neem leaves and pulp, tobacco, and green chilies prepared for insect and pest management that can be used to treat seeds. Then achadana relates to mulching. It protects topsoil during the cultivation and does not destroy by tilling. Okay. And vapasa, it is condition where there are both air molecules and water molecules present in the soil, thereby helping in reducing irrigation requirements. Okay, so this is how it talks about organic manure, use of organic manure, as well as mulching practices, as well as soil, water and soil moisture conservation. So remember the four components. It can be asked in prelims as well as mains examination also. Fine. Now, what is conscious possession of drugs? Aryan Khan drug case is there, and yes, we are continuously looking at the news on front page itself regarding this. The important act that is in news, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. Under the provisions of this act, various, let's say, sections have been invoked, like section 35 is there. This particular section recognizes presumption of culpable mental state. That is, the possession need not to be physical and could be constructive. It could be constructive. Supreme Court defines the word conscious as awareness of particular fact, a state of mind which is deliberate and intended. In this particular case, though Aryan Khan was not having the possession of drugs, but his friends were having it and Aryan Khan knew it. So the court says that there is possibility that he may abuse the drugs or may have abused the drugs. This is called as conscious possession. Okay, so special court in Mumbai rejected the bail application on the grounds he had conscious possession. The court presumed that Aryan had intention, motive and knowledge of drugs found with his friends. This means the onus is now on him to prove otherwise. Okay, it is also being criticized that this provision is very stringent in this act, and it is like similar to those let's say NI Act is there, UPA Act is there, wherein the bail is denied and the responsibility of, let's say, the onus is on to prove on that let's say persons that whatever the allegations are there. So the onus is on them to prove them as a false. You have to also understand this particular act was enacted by the government through the Article 47 of Indian Constitution, part of Directive Principles of State Policies. It directs state to act against narcotic activities injurious to the health. Article 47, it talks about protecting health, okay, and abuse of substances, alcohol and drug abuse. In this regard, such Act 1985 has been enacted. Also under this Act, it has provided for establishment of such statutory body or which is responsible for investigation into this. NCB was formed under this, Narcotics Control Bureau. Okay, fine. Russia, China hold first joint patrol in Western Pacific Ocean. So in previous lectures we were talking about how US, UK is conducting freedom of navigation operations in Western Pacific, South China Sea. Now China and Russia had let's say first such joint patrol in western part of Pacific Ocean, and now Japan is more concerned. Why? Because there is a particular strait called as Tsugaru Strait here, and this is actually part of international waters. It is part of international waters. Through this strait, some of the Russian ships which are let's say participating in this joint patrol, they went through that strait. Okay, name of the strait is Tsugaru Strait. Now what is strait? Strait is a narrow water channel which connects two large water bodies. That is called as strait. And what is isthmus? Isthmus is something that is narrow land body which connects two large continents. Remember this difference, very basic. It is given in NCERT. Right, so Tsugaru Strait actually separates the main islands. These are Honshu Islands and other total three islands, with this Hokkaido Island of Japan on the northern side. Right, so you should remember that, and it is also part of international waters. It is not territory of Japan, so that's why Japan cannot do anything here. But it feels threatened, no? So whatever the exercises that are happening here in the Sea of Japan, on this side there is Sea of Japan, on this side there is Pacific Ocean. So basically this strait connects Sea of Japan with Pacific Ocean. Okay, so geography mapping perspective, you should remember this, because UPSC generally asks from the mapping perspective those regions, those geographical features which are generally news, or we can say that hotly contested. Fine? Okay. India made spray linked to rare illness in US. Now this particular illness named melioidosis. Melioidosis, it is a rare disease. It is caused by a bacteria, Burkholderia pseudomeli. Okay, why we are saying that rare? Because it rarely happens. There are less chances of human to human contact transmission. However, it is very deadly. Why? Because the death rate is more. Now, made in India aromatherapy spray is being pulled off retail giant Walmart shelves in US after medical investigation linked to this particular rare disease has sickened at least 4 people. Okay, so you need to remember this spray reported content of this bacteria. Okay, so in initial part, when the person suppose is getting infected by this bacteria, so the symptoms are very less, and if suppose symptoms are there, then the diagnosis is wrong diagnosis happening here, because of, let's say, similarity of the symptoms with TB disease, tuberculosis. The similar kind of symptoms are there, that's why the wrong diagnosis happens, and that's why the fatality rate is very high. Okay, so you can remember the name of diseases, and it is caused by bacteria. Now UPSC in prelims examination can ask such kind of question like match the following. On left side they will give the name of the disease, and right hand side they will say that it is caused by bacteria, it is caused by virus, it is caused by a particular parasite. Such kind of things UPSC asks. So whatever the diseases that are there in news, remember them. Okay. Yes, so what should be answer to this question? Yes, it is talking about Tsugaru Strait. Just now we have seen geography mapping perspective. This connects two ocean bodies, right? So which two ocean bodies it is connecting? On left hand side it was Sea of Japan, right? So on left hand side it was Sea of Japan, on the right hand side there was Pacific Ocean. So we need to remember which ocean bodies this particular strait is connecting. Here in this case Tsugaru Strait is connecting these two ocean bodies. Fine, and it goes through in between that Japan as a territory, as a country. Okay, on northern side there is one island, and on southern side remaining 3 islands. Japan is made up of largely 4 islands, no? Okay, so then on the northern side there is 1 island, on southern side there are 3 islands, and in between the Tsugaru Strait is there. So yes, as a part of mapping study, it is advised that whenever such geographical locations are there in news, immediately refer to atlas, or you can search on Google, see the location of that particular feature. Okay, it is important. Every year UPSC asks 1 or 2 questions from the mapping perspective. In 2020 they asked rivers and flowing into which ocean. Such kind of question was asked, match the following. But this year they asked Indian rivers. Okay, so last year they asked the important rivers of the world. but this year they asked Indian rivers, question on Indian rivers. So either way you have to prepare about them. Fine? Okay. So these are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.